am joined by former Harambee Stars player Taiwo Atieno and, of course, Jacob Kelly, a former player himself and a football analyst. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Well, so much to get into such little time, but we can just get into it. The African Cup of Nations has begun. Big game yesterday, that opener between Egypt and Zimbabwe. Quick thoughts, first of all, before we get on to matters Group C, which I'm sure you all have quite strong opinions on. Quick thoughts on how that game was, Egypt-Zimbabwe. Taiwo.
I thought it was a good game. Obviously, the first games in any tournament is a little bit slow to get starting, but I thought, Zimbabwe gave it their best shot. Obviously, Egypt I think they've won the tournament 3 times, but yeah, I thought they gave it their best shot, but obviously Egypt were the better team.
Jacob.
First, it was a really good display of football. I want to disagree with you. It was a fast game. Ukioneo game ilikuwa na mbio.
Ilikuwa mbio?
It was a good game. In the first 17 minutes, Egypt, like the keeper had already made 2 saves, the Zimbabwean keeper. But kudos to them. 1-0 scoreline. Could you have predicted that? No. We expected a humping.
Exactly.
A thumping, I mean, sorry. But it is what it is. That's why we're saying Kenya, we can do it. It's just football. Names don't play football.
Exactly.
Mo Salah was there. Everybody was there. They got 2 feet like us.
Yeah.
We can do it.
And especially we saw some, some
flashes
of the
from Zimbabwe.
Yeah, some of the comments on social media had to do with the obsession that the commentator had with the Egyptian squad. I don't know if any of you noticed that.
No.
What they call it Zimbabwe, East Africa, weren't they?
yeah.
Lack of research, but
geographics are a little bit on the edge there.
Yeah.
But you could see Bilias, the Zimbabwe striker. He was good. He almost even scored. He had a 1v1 with the keeper. So they are beatable. Yeah, so even us, what is Algeria? We can do it.
I like that.
Yeah.
Guys, speaking of social media, by the way, there was a whole fiasco with Joash Onyango's beard. I don't know if you happened to see that. I'm sure we have some of those images. They'll be on screen shortly. What did you make of it? Because, is it a bit of fun? We've seen the African Cup of Nations just producing amazing hairstyles in the past. And Joash Onyango, of course, as you can see on camera, just having a bit of fun. And then, of course, he shaved it the following day. Your thoughts on this, Taiwo? Is it adding to the flavor of the title?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a Taiwo West, he reminds me of, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But on the other side of his face. Yeah, express yourself. Football's all about expressing yourself and representing your culture, your people. So, I think Harambee Stars should all go out there and express themselves, enjoy it. It's not often that we qualify for a tournament, so, it's an opportunity for everybody in Kenya to see our culture and our tradition. Anything
happened of the sort during your time at the Harambee Stars?
Who had the funniest haircuts?
Yeah.
But you always kept it clean shaved. Never
Clearly it wasn't him, so.
He did have a haircut.
Who had the funniest haircut during your time?
Maybe Mariga.
Mariga? Yeah, quite an expressive character.
Yeah.
There was a time Jamal Mohammed ever did that. You remember? Jamal Mohammed, Malu. He also did the white beard and everything. It was looking nice.
I like that. So actually, speaking of Joash Onyango, let's get in a word from him ahead of the African Cup of Nations, Kenya versus Algeria on Sunday.
Kesho naweza sema imekuwa long journey kulingana na vile Kenya walianza their first match against Sierra Leone. Ile bahati mbaya ikakuwa tuli-lose, ambapo pia mimi nashukuru coach mwenye alikuja ka assemble player mwenye anaona wanaweza msaidia, tukakuwa pamoja. Game ya gani ikakuja venye alikuwa ameweka wachezaji kwa camp, ungeweza jua kama huyu ni local na huyu anacheza nje. Hiyo kimoja sasa ndio ilifanya ile team spirit kafanya tukapatia ushindi ya Ghana. Umejua kila mtu lazima kuwe na personality yake. Si mara ya kwanza mimi kuweka hivyo. Kuna time way back Steamer pia nilikuwa nimeweka hivyo, but brown equal white. So hii juzi pia niliona acha niweke, but kwa vitu zingine yenye siwezi sema pia nikaona tena nitoe tu hivyo.
The very eccentric Joash Onyango there, as Taiwo Atieno was saying, just picking up a bit from maybe the likes of Rigobert Song, the likes of Taribo West. But he's just talking about Kenya's chances, how he feels going into the tournament. Quick thoughts on that, Taiwo.
I think Kenya's got a good chance. I was actually looking at the previous head-to-heads between Kenya and Algeria, and we've won just as many games as them. So I think if we can get a win or a draw against them, possibly a win or a draw against Senegal, then I think we've got to beat Tanzania, definitely, to, I don't know, finish second. I think we've got a chance.
Now, Jacob, I'll come to you in regards to his comment. I just want us to branch off a bit because we are going to be going to Joshua Makori, who's at Kasarani. But Jacob, I want your quick thoughts, keeping it light on the situation we saw with Joash Onyango and the beard. Talking about the look that Harambee Stars, you know, undertook and wore, you know, ahead of the flight back to Cairo. What did you think? Because a lot of people were making similarities between that look and the look that Gor Mahia actually wore on their trip to UK. Yeah. So what did you think of that?
First of all, kudos to the federation. They're really looking good. They were camped abroad. Let's give it to them. They're in AFCON. Yeah. They were in camp in France, in Spain. When have you ever had Kenya playing in Spain or in France?
In France,
so let's give it to them. Even reaching AFCON, we've dreamed it. How many painful games have we gone to Nyayo Stadium? You come crying, you say Kenya, Kenya. But they're there, they have actually done it. And what I can say, you see Josh is talking about how the coach has put them together. You can't know a foreign player and a local player, meaning it's a team, it's a unit. That's why they're there. You need that. They're going for a walk. And you can hear Josh saying they're one. The coach brings that. So in light of, you know, who was dropped, Jesse Were, I don't know, Alan Wanga.
We are past that.
We are past that. And you can see the coach, he's stuck to his decision, his players. Yeah. Because his neck is on the line.
Right. And
that shows confidence. Even now, people are talking, oh, why can you leave, why can you leave? Here they are. Let's just support them. That's all we can do.
Hashtag Twaweza. I hope you are donning your Harambee Stars jerseys wherever you are. I'm liking the positivity from Taiwo and Jacob here. Speaking of those looks, you know, Kenyans on Twitter, lots of people, as I said earlier, were drawing similarities between that look and the look that Gor Mahia donned a few months ago, and lots of controversy surrounding that in regards to apparently we'd had a French designer making some of those suits. His name was Emmanuel Khan. So people saying, was it really a French designer making new suits, or was the idea borrowed? Anyway, we will be getting back to the discussion in Group C of the AFCON. For now, let's take it to Kasarani, where Joshua Makori, Kigogo, sijui kama unanisikia, I'm told that you're on standby. Kukuaje huko?
Aide Waringa, hapa kuko vizuri, manake hali ya anga ni shwari, ikiwa ni siku ya 3 ya mchujo wa kitaifa kuteua timu ya taifa ambayo itaiwakilisha na kuipeperusha bendera ya taifa katika makala ya 12 ya mashindano ya bara Afrika ambayo yanafanyika kule Morocco, ikiwa kwamba ni mnamo Agosti, lakini ikiwa kwamba leo ni siku ya 3 ya mwisho. Yalianza siku ya Alhamisi, yakafanyika Ijumaa siku ya pili, alafu leo Jumamosi ikawa kwamba ndio siku ya mwisho, na mashindano kadhaa yamekwisha kufanyika, ikiwa kwamba mbio za mita 10,000 zimekwisha kufanyika, mbio za mita 200, 1500. Sasa tunachosubiri tu ni kwamba finali ya mbio za mita 5000 upande wa wanaume, na kuna yule chipukizi ambaye ni kijana mdogo tu, anaitwa Edward Zakayo, ni bingwa dunia katika mashindano ya riadha ambao umri wao hujapita miaka 20. Anapania kuwahi tiketi ya moja kwa moja ya kwenda kuwakilisha Kenya. Safari hii sio kama chipukizi, lakini kama senior. Waliona milango ya skuli, watakwambia senior ni wale ambao tayari wanakoma ndio ubora. Sasa hiyo finali inasubiriwa hapa, alafu finali ya mbio za mita 3000 kuruka viunzi na maji upande wa wanaume, manake upande wa kinadada imekwisha kufanyika, na bingwa wa dunia anayeshikilia rekodi ya dunia katika mbio hizo za mita 3000 kuruka viunzi na maji, Beatrice Chepkoech, tayari ameibuka mshindi leo hapa, na anayo tiketi ya moja kwa moja mfukoni ya kwenda Rabat, Morocco mnamo Agosti. Alafu mbio za mita 800 finali inasubiriwa kufanyika hapa kabla ya kuhitimisha siku hii ya mwisho. Alafu kukupa tu zila nimekusanya kidogo mfukoni tu, nachomoa hivi na kumegea hapa kwamba Beatrice Chepkoech alishinda mbio za mita 3000 kuruka viunzi na maji. Alihitaji muda wa dakika 9 sekunde 22.64. Masi huyu, kumradhi, Masi Wanjiru alikuwa wa pili, naye Roslyn Chepkosgei alikuwa wa tatu. Katika fainali ya mbio za mita 1500 upande wa wanaume, George Manangoi ambaye ni nduguye wa toka nitoke wa Elijah Manangoi amepata tiketi ya moja kwa moja baada ya kuibuka mshindi. Alitumia muda wa dakika 3 sekunde 36.20. Alifuata katika nafasi ya pili na kijana ambaye anaitwa Boaz Kipkurgat ambaye alitumia muda dakika 3 sekunde 36.85. Nafasi ya tatu akaridhika nayo ni Jonathan Sawe ambaye pia alitimuka kwa muda wa dakika 3 sekunde 38.46. Upande wa mbio za mita 10,000 ambazo kiukweli Kenya haijawa na matokeo ya kuridhisha tangia mwaka 1968. Imekuwa ni hali si hali tangu Paul Tanui afanya mambo yake mwaka 1968, lakini safari hii labda ndio mwanzo tu, mkoko na alika mawando tunaamka. Aliyeshinda leo mchujo katika fainali ni Edwin Soi. Edwin Soi alikimbia katika muda wa dakika 27 sekunde 55.30. Paul Tanui nafasi ya pili sekunde 58 dakika 27 na .06. Alafu Charles Yosei alikuwa katika nafasi ya tatu, Shadrack Koech nafasi ya 4, na aliyefunga 5 bora na kuwahi tiketi ya mwisho ya kwenda mashindano ya Afrika ni Josephat Bet. Alafu katika fainali ya mita 200 upande wa wanaume, Mike Mokamba alitumia sekunde 20.80 ukipenda 80 kushinda na kawahi tiketi yake. Dan Kaviasi alikuwa katika nafasi ya pili, naye Peter Mwai akaridhika na nafasi ya tatu, ikiwa kwamba hayo ni matokeo ambayo kiukweli ndio mwanzo tu yanafanyika hapa. Alafu jana pia usisahau kwamba jana kulikuwa na fainali ambayo kiukweli, wacha nikumegee matokeo yake ya jana, ikiwa ni mita 10,000 zile. Upande wa kinadada aliyeibuka mshindi ni Irene Kamaisi ambaye ni chipukizi na ndio mwanzo tu anaibukia. Alifuatwa katika nafasi ya pili na Monica Chirchir. Nafasi ya tatu ilimwendea Caroline Nyaga. Alafu bingwa mtetezi wa mashindano ya Afrika si mwingine isipokuwa ni Ali Saproti, alimaliza katika nafasi ya 8. Kwa hiyo mambo ya kumwendea vizuri jana. Tunasubiri tuone leo hali itakuwa kwaje. Kwa sasa wacha tu nikuibie shajara ikoje. Nikishuka kutoka angani naenda kuwatafuta viongozi wale watatu haya mashindano ya riadha. Alafu baadeni Kariobangi Sharks, wachezaji watatu wako mpangoni tayari na wana kwa mbali wanapasha misuli moto kufanikisha hapa kwa kwamba katika uwanja huu wa kimataifa Moi Kasarani watakuwa na kipiga dhidi ya Everton, ikiwa ni tarehe 7 Julai, mechi ya kihistoria kabisa ambapo hawa K-Sharks waliwahi tiketi ya kukutana na Everton. Mdhamini ni mmoja, mdhamini ni Sport Pesa, ndiye amefanikisha kila kitu. Everton anakuja ziara hapa Nairobi katika uwanja huu wa kimataifa Moi Kasarani wapige mechi ya kirafiki. Kwa hiyo nitakuwa na waleta baadeni. Aida Waringa, wewe gonga zako hapo, mambo ya AFCON, mambo ya soka, alafu baadeni uje nifanikishe, au sio?
Kabisa Kigogo. Have a good one there at Kasarani. I'm looking forward to that conversation between Makori and the Kariobangi Sharks players. I do know one of them will be Patilla Omoto. Looking forward to that. July 7th, that game will be that cracker between Kariobangi Sharks and Everton. Going back to the AFCON conversation, now Raila Odinga, Honorable Raila Odinga, paid the Harambee Stars a visit, and you know, we do have Taiwo Atieno here who has his own personal story with Raila. But before we get to that, let's have a listen into how that went. Okay, I'm told that we will have that in a bit. Taiwo, tell us about your passport story with Raila.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't know. I think people thought I came to Kenya in 2009 and just wanted to obviously play for the national team, but I'd actually been trying since 2003 when I signed for Warsaw with Paul Merson. I'd made myself available to Kenya, but for some reason I think there wasn't dual citizenship until 2010.
Yeah.
So in 2009 when I came, obviously the new constitution hadn't been ratified by Parliament. And so I actually spent 3 months going to the immigration building asking them, can I have my Kenyan passport? And they're saying you have to obviously renounce your English passport, but I wasn't able to do that. So eventually after 3 months of going up each floor I think we met the minister, and he said, I think you should speak to the Prime Minister because he's probably the only one who can help you with this. So we went into his office, there was lots of people speaking foreign languages. I sat there for about 30 minutes while he was speaking to some diplomats or something like that. And then I just obviously had 20 minutes and I said to him, look, you know, why is it that in England and America, all the African players can play for their countries, but when I want to come home, I can't come and play for Kenya? You know, and my dad was actually on his deathbed, so it was actually really important for me to come and represent my father's country.
Right.
And he was like, yeah, you're right. And he asked his lawyer next to him, was like, what can we do? And he said, well, actually, it's in the new constitution, dual citizenship.
So it was that quick?
Yeah, and then I got it the same day.
Can we draw parallels, Jacob, between that and maybe how quickly the likes of Christopher Mbamba got his passport when he needed to play for Kenya versus Ghana in that qualifier?
Maybe times have changed, I would say that.
Right.
Because
federations as well.
Federations have changed as well. Yeah, the previous regime, he was in under current former regime. It's another regime. That's why I was saying kudos to the FKF. They are really putting things together. We can't compare with the previous one. But coming back to the Prime Minister, anaitwa Baba.
Anaitwa Baba
so
for a reason.
So he did a fatherly thing, yeah. So he's called Baba.
Yeah.
So kudos to him and what he's doing to the team.
Yeah. And Tao, it's great to have you back in the country. You know, important for some of the people who might not remember that particular era of the Harambee Stars. Jacob, I know you also took part in a few games with the Harambee Stars. Any comparisons between that era and this era? I mean, going into the first African Cup of Nations in 15 years is not a joke. But when we look at the undercurrent, Taiwo, your thoughts on it?
So I've been coming to Kenya every single year for the last 10 years, and every month for the last 3. And I've been here for the last 10 months consecutively. What I've obviously seen is obviously, you know, there's been a change in the regime. Obviously things are done more professionally now. I think Nick's come in and brought a lot more professionalism. But the facilities, you know, the youth development programs, I don't see enough young boys and girls playing the game. If you look at Kenya's production of players, you know, world-class players, or let's say international class players, Mariga, Victor, Oliech, are the only 3 in the last 15 to 20 years.
In terms of really high-level pedigree.
Who can actually go and play in the European leagues and compete. And I think as a country, we've got 51 million people, 70% under 30. We should be doing better.
Your thoughts?
Let's give credit where it's due. We're in AFCON. It's been 2004 till now. We've tried how many years? So kudos to them, they've made it. The federation, I can say it's better times. It's 2019, the things we can't expect. Like you see Zimbabwe, they didn't train a day to the first match with Egypt. They were complaints. They had boycotted training. Yeah,
because of allowances.
Allowances. Cameroon, Clarence Seedorf had to call in Eto'o to come as a mediator because there's allowance issue. But you can't hear that with Kenya. Previously, we were the microphone. We used to cry left, right, center, boots. But you can't hear that anymore. Now, we're talking about 50 million they were given. When have you ever had that being given to the national
Especially,
team?
I remember we're having this conversation during the break, and you were telling us the most you won during your era was a Sekafa.
Sekafa,
and now we're in AFCON.
We're in AFCON. We can't compare East Africa with, we're talking big boys. This is where big boys play. It's a big tournament. Yeah. It's a big spectacle for big players. This is where Kenya, that's why I can say there is development. You're talking about the youth system and everything. Probably you haven't been in Kenya for a little bit. This is just like groundwork for me. I know. They have been under 18 tournaments, under 17.
The FKF Elite Youth League.
There's, I don't know, Chapadimba. They are there. They are making a move. Because you can see young players in the national team. Look like. There are players in Kariobangi Sharks, Avire, young players. Times are changing. We need to bring another gel of players. That's why we're in AFCON.
Yeah. But how can we move it forward? Because AFCON is a great conversation. It's a great tournament, but it's going to come and it's going to end. So how can we move it forward in terms of, yes, we've done an amazing thing, Taiwo, but structures, moving it forward. I know you're doing something in Migori. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so like Jacob's saying, there are good things happening. My point is that there's not enough players coming through. So we've got Victor Wanyama playing in Tottenham, and Mariga was playing in Spain. Dennis was in France, but Dennis and Mariga both finished playing now. But who else is pushing? Alunga's obviously, you know, I saw Alunga when he first came in the national. I was very impressed. I thought, you know, he could definitely move on and progress in the international team. Getting to the AFCON is an amazing achievement, and I'm very proud because I feel like they're representing all of us. All of Kenya's being represented on an international stage. But we should be, as a country, looking like we want to qualify for every AFCON. It shouldn't be a surprise. We should just be there. And for me, that starts with the youth development. You know.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, let's actually move on to matters Group C. We'll get back to what Taiwo Atieno here has been doing in the western part of Kenya in a bit. But Group C, as we said earlier, Algeria, Senegal, Kenya, and Tanzania. Jacob, to you, quick thoughts. That first game tomorrow versus Algeria. Lots of fears over the fact that we're facing former champions. They did win it in 1990. It's been quite a while since then. But look, they have the likes of Riyad Mahrez. We know what they can do. Should we be scared?
No, we shouldn't. They just have 2 legs like us.
Yeah,
it's a matter of character. With the same pitch, same fans, all the way the heat is the same. It can be done. Because remember, they drew 1-1 with Burundi. We can do it if you look at the current score that we have. If we just put the firepower and we just believe in attack, there's nothing that is impossible. You see Zimbabwe, they had their moments. We're talking about Egypt.
Right.
Yes, even look at their goal. It was a moment of brilliance.
Yeah.
So you see, it had to be an individual effort. It wasn't like a team work or something. It had to be individual brilliance. So it can be done. Mahrez is just a name. We have Olunga. Everybody has a name on the back of the... I'm called Kelly. Even me have a name. What's the name? Their name doesn't play. Like you said about the outfits.
Yeah.
The Harambee Stars outfits. If outfits could win football, Nigeria would have won the World Cup. Remember?
If outfits could win football, Zambia wouldn't have won the AFCON when they did.
Yeah. So it's not about, let's just... The truth is, 90 minutes, it can be done. They're human beings. We can do it.
I love that. Can we do it, Taiwo? Speaking of the heat that Jacob has brought up, first AFCON where they've introduced 3-minute cooling and water breaks. We're experiencing, degrees of 40 degrees plus. 10 p.m. onwards, when the games will be, is maybe when it drops to around 30 degrees.
Still
As
hot.
a former player, guys, to you, Taiwo, how can that affect your body biologically? And do you think the boys can come through?
Yeah, I've got lots of stories about climatizing here in Kenya. When I first came to play for Kenya, I was in America, and it was a 20-hour flight. So you're going through 3 different time zones. So when I used to come to play for Harambee Stars, I was literally nearly 10 hours behind in sleep.
Wow.
And jet lag, it took about 3 days just to get over. And obviously you got 5 days to prepare for the actual game. So I think, like what Jacob's saying, we've got a good chance to actually beat Algeria. And I was looking at previous head-to-heads with Algeria, and Kenya has won 3, Algeria has won 3.
Interesting.
So we do have a good chance of winning. I think if we stay organised and compact, we can, nick a goal and defend from there. I think Olunga is a dangerous target man, and I think if we use him, if we get the ball in the box, he'll have a chance of scoring.
I know, I can see Jacob is itching to say something.
There's something I wanted to say.
Usiniambie umesahau bana.
Nimengoja sana.
No, we'll get to that in just a bit. I'm sure you'll remember. Usijali. But speaking of that and our chances in regards to facing big teams, such as Algeria, Senegal, lots of people, I feel, it's a personal feeling, are underestimating Tanzania, and we shouldn't do that. But I want to know, do we have that bite from Francis Kahata and Patrick Matasi? Just talking about Harambee Stars' chances, my director will let me know in just a bit. I know you wanted to say something. Utakumbuka, utaniambia.
I haven't even got it.
You remembered?
Yeah.
Tell us.
The expectation on the national team is not big. We don't expect them to win it. So they shouldn't go with any pressure. When they're just go and enjoy. Go showcase what you got. And when you have that, no worries, no pressure, go win. We know it's an uphill task to beat Algeria.
Yeah.
But let's just go and enjoy. And once you go with that mentality, let's give them a run for their money.
Yeah.
It can happen, it's football. One moment of brilliance, even a penalty, maybe Kahata free kick, Olunga.
Yeah.
You never know. It's a football match, so there's not expected much from them. So they shouldn't have that pressure on them.
Right.
Let's just go and enjoy.
All right, that's what the pundits here have to say in terms of former players Jacob Kelly and Taiwo Atieno. Let's have a look at what the Kenyans on the streets had to say ahead of Kenya's first AFCON in 15 years.
Vile timu hizi zimeorodheshwa katika jadwali la FIFA, zile timu ambazo ziko chini huenda zikawashangaza wengi. Kwa upande wa timu ya Kenya ama Harambee Stars ni kwamba tangu wacheze mechi za kirafiki wameonyesha ya kwamba wamejinoa vilivyo. Kwa hivyo mwaka huu tunatarajia kwamba Harambee Stars ya Kenya, mimi ubashiri wangu ni kwamba kuna uwezekano mkubwa tutakuwa miongoni mwa timu 8 za mwisho.
Harambee Stars has only chance with Tanzania, but these other ones I think they'll have a rough time.
Hii kitu ni mazoezi, tusiangalie majina pia. Algeria timu kubwa, kuna kuanga na absence. Tumeenda kanda underdogs, lakini wanaweza tu surprise. Hakuna kiwezekani.
Kenya is known globally in sports. Athletes, we don't expect them to disappoint us in football. To our captain Wanyama, you've been performing good in Tottenham. Please don't disappoint our nation.
Kwa hivyo pia tuna matumaini kwamba hii timu ya Harambee Stars baada ya kwenda Ufaransa kwa maandalizi, tuna matumaini kwamba huenda wakafanya vizuri zaidi.
Tushachoka kikombe kwenda Egypt na kwenda Central Africa. Tunataka kikombe kija East Africa. Tunajivunia kama Harambee Star tuko ndani ya African Cup na inshallah tutashinda safari. Madamu pesa tumebadilisha mpya na timu ni mpya. Captain Wanyama tuko naye, tuna imani na Wanyama.
I'm really liking the positivity on the streets. Those were just some opinions from Nairobi to Mombasa. And as you can see, everyone is joined and united in just trying to spur the Harambee Stars forward. Harambee Stars Twaweza. That game versus Senegal, guys. Tricky. Does not even begin to describe that game. Can we make a point, Taiwo?
Yeah, I think we have to have a strategy, don't we? I think we've got to get a result against Algeria. I think we can win. I think we can nick 3 points. Senegal, I think we should look to be a little bit more on the defensive side. Keeper, maybe get a point. And then we got to beat Tanzania.
Yeah.
And I think we can qualify for the next round.
Do you think so, Jacob?
Yeah, I concur with him. I told you, Algeria beatable. The Senegal match, if we can lose, but maybe if we lose with a slow margin, it won't be bad. But you see, this is the decider, the Algeria game.
Yeah.
Tanzania tutakufa now. We'll just have to give it our best. So now what I'm saying is, the Algeria game, dude, let's say the decider.
Yeah.
Even we should get 3 points. It can buy a draw. Because Senegal, it will be an uphill task, I won't lie. So we can afford to lose on the Senegal one. But this one, it is doable.
But don't you think it was the same feeling when we were put into the same qualifying group as Ghana and people looked at it like we'll be up against 5-time AFCON champions, the Black Stars, and yet we stand them here 1-0 at Kasarani and then went there, and despite the fact that they edged us 1-0, we gave them a good show. We pushed them to the very last minute. Don't you think it was something similar?
Qualifiers, they take a longer duration.
Yeah.
You play, you go back, there's that mind game, there's just restful. But you're talking about AFCON. It is, if you're hammered, you go home.
Right.
You have to put the best. It's the first game of the tournament. Quite important to every team. So every team will put the best. So it's going to be a cracker.
It's going to be a cracker, definitely. Let's pay some of those bills. We'll be right back. In the meantime, do let us know your message to the Harambee Stars is what we're asking you. Are we trying to spur them forward? Harambee Stars will be facing Algeria tomorrow. What's your message to Kenya? Talk to us. Hashtag is Top Sport. We'll see you in a few minutes.
As a former football player, we'd all love to have been there.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's a moment that gives you goosebumps. You feel it. If you have love for the game.
Exactly, I can imagine. Yeah, and especially as a former player, you can just try and envision what they're going through.
What Harambee Stars are feeling. It's where big boys play. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, tuko pamoja kesho with the Harambee Stars versus Algeria in that Group C opener. Keep that conversation flowing. Now, as we said earlier, we'll make sure to have a look at some of your comments. Opening ceremony aside, that opening game. Egypt versus Zimbabwe. Now, Jacob, you did mention there was a row in terms of unpaid allowances for Zimbabwe. The Warriors had actually threatened to boycott that opener. Of course, a lot of people saying, Taiwo, those were just threats because you can't boycott an AFCON opener. You will be banned and face sanctions. But what was your general opinion on the game? We did see Zimbabwe hold their own.
Yeah, no, like I said before, I think for me, when you see the opening game, and Egypt have a lot of good players, who have been playing a lot of games in the bigger leagues. Salah wasn't necessarily on his top game. I think he's probably having a hangover from the Champions League final win. But yeah, Zimbabwe rose to the occasion and they showed that they can, threaten and cause some trouble.
Yeah.
But I just think the experience of Egypt, was too great for them.
That Trezeguet goal is what I want us to talk about. Absolutely amazing, don't you think?
sublime.
Yeah.
I am a striker, he's a striker. That
Yeah.
one you just do mwah. It was that sweet.
Yeah.
Especially
Real recognized real.
You just say mwah. You could see the feeling in the fans.
Yeah.
That moment you can. I don't think Cairo slept that day.
And it was actually individual brilliance, as you said earlier.
Individual brilliance. That's why I'm saying kudos to Zimbabwe. They really came to the show. Yeah. But you know, side shows about allowances, boycotting major tournament like AFCON. That's why Africa, we still have a long way to go. We don't need such side shows. Yeah. And that's why I'm saying kudos to the federation. These things are unheard of right now. Yeah, so let's give credit where it's due. But awesome game. Mo Salah, you said he didn't turn up to the party. Somehow he wasn't Mo Salah. Like you said, maybe he's having an hangover of the Champions League. Yeah. But he will turn up. You see, he had his moments. The Zimbabwe keeper was on his toes. He really did some good saves. Yeah. But Salah, he will turn up.
Yeah, that Zimbabwe goalkeeper, Edimo, I think in a time span of about 10 minutes, made 4 saves, 2 clearances. And when he finally got that injury towards the end of the game, you were like, oh no.
He really kept them in the game. Yeah. Because first half it could have been 3-0 and that could have been game over.
Yeah. But yet another Zimbabwe player who impressed a lot of people, Kama Billiat.
Yeah, Billiat.
You followed up on him and just tried and saw exactly what he was doing on the pitch, and he was amazing.
I actually did know him when he was at Kaizer Chiefs. He was
still at Kaizer Chiefs, no?
He was sold to Mamelodi Sundowns.
Oh, he's at Mamelodi.
He's quick.
Right.
Very, very quick. You saw there's a moment, they started a free kick. Like just a short one, a moment of brilliance. Remember the Liverpool goal where Alexander-Arnold started a short corner, then he just placed it and Origi finished it.
Yeah.
They did that to Egypt. They were caught pants down. The keeper saved them. He was one-on-one. So he's quite intelligent. You need players like that. But me, I know we have Olunga. You saw his goal versus the friendly with Congo.
Yeah.
Top-notch striker.
Top-notch striker.
Top-notch. That was a good goal.
Yeah, so let's actually get to some of those fixtures in terms of today and tomorrow. Now, last night was Egypt versus Zimbabwe, and today will be a continuation of Group A in terms of DR Congo versus Uganda. That's in the next maybe 2.5 hours, kicking off at 5:30 p.m. East African time. And then Group B will go full throttle starting 8 p.m. with Nigeria versus debutants Burundi. And then Guinea will play Madagascar in the late kickoff. Before we get into Sunday fixtures, how do you see these 3 games going, Taiwo?
I think Uganda are a good team. I think Uganda will win that game. Nigeria, I think, will win theirs.
Yeah.
And I think the last one is Guinea. I've never seen Guinea or Madagascar play, but obviously Guinea's a big country, so I'll put my money on them. All
right, Madagascar first timers in this as well. Will the newbie effect, make them a bit shaken, or do you think they'll pull through?
Guinea, let's say ni wazoefu. They've been in the tournament. They've reached quarterfinals. I don't know, in the last 4 African Cup of Nations. So when it comes to DRC Congo, DRC have drawn 7 out of their 9 past matches. So them scoring,
But Jacob, I don't know, I choose to disagree there because DR Congo have been good in past AFCONs. I mean, they're a name.
But history doesn't play football.
In the Nations Cup, true.
History doesn't play. You see, they had Trezor Mputu when he was a youth man. Now, so let's say age is catching up. And you saw did they even win? We even beat them in the friendly. We drew 1-1.
We drew 1-1 in the
Matasi had his moment, but we had beaten them, Matasi, he had his moment.
By the way, do you think Farouk should start or?
No. I would say if it's more of psychological, let's keep Matasi. Goalkeepers, the problem is when they do a blunder, it ends up in the net.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in the Sunday fixtures. So your thoughts finishing up on Saturday fixtures?
I would say DRC Congo and Uganda, that's a draw. It's a game without goals. It's going to be a tight game. But Nigeria, Burundi, Nigeria coming back, they have a point to prove. They have names, Iwobi.
Yeah.
They have a very good team. Against Burundi, I think they'll collect points.
Guinea, Madagascar.
Madagascar is going to be thumped.
Wow.
They're going to be thumped. Because remember, we played the friendly with them. We drew 1-1 or we beat them?
No, in Madagascar, we beat them 1-0. And that was courtesy of a Victor Wanyama penalty. Yeah.
Yeah, so. And us, we didn't even put our first team.
Yeah.
We put the youth boys, like Navire, and they played them. They really marched to the task. So I would say Guinea hammer them.
But I think for some teams such as Madagascar, Burundi, Mauritania, you know, some of the teams that are taking part in the Nations Cup for the first time, I think for them, the achievement of qualification is enough. You know, and then now it's just about gaining experience while trying not to be pushovers, you know. But let's move on to Sunday's fixtures. What's going on tomorrow in the Nations Cup? Let's have a look at that. Wow, Morocco facing off against Namibia. Lots of people want to see how Morocco will do in this Nations Cup. At 5:30 p.m., Senegal versus Tanzania at 8, and this is where it gets interesting, at least for everyone on this side of the Sahara. Algeria versus Kenya at 11 p.m. Let's start things off with Morocco versus Namibia. Morocco, Taiwo, currently have the only coach who's won 2 Nations Cups with 2 different countries. Won it with Zambia and then won it with Ivory Coast in 2015, that being Hervé Renard. Do you think he can work his magic and make Morocco the 3rd team?
Yeah, I think Morocco's got very good pedigree. Everyone in the football world knows that they can produce some very good players. I remember when I was a youngster, we used to play against Coventry, who had Hadji, who was a very skillful, prolific striker / winger. I think Morocco are going to beat Namibia. I've never even heard of a player from Namibia, but Senegal, Tanzania, I would again have to go with Senegal. And Kenya's gonna. Kenya can get a result against Algeria. I think if we go out there, like you said, no one's expecting us to win. We're underdogs. Go out there, just play. You know, enjoy it. Put pressure on them, but obviously just be cautious not to give them any counter attacks. If we can control the midfield, then we've got a good chance. If we can get balls into the box, Odinga is a threat, and I think they will struggle to deal with him. And like you saw against Congo, he can finish.
Yeah. You know, you were talking about the goalkeeping department. You know, we know Matasi's blunders, but we also know that he comes through with the saves when necessary. So for the sake of team psychology, should he start the game tomorrow versus Algeria?
Any time of day, I would pick Matasi. He has the experience. I've actually played with him even at FC Leopard. There was a time his career was like on the low when he was leaving FC Leopard, but he picked up his pieces. He's the #1 keeper. And you know, man is to error. Good thing it was in a friendly match. If it was in this Algeria game, you know, he dived like catching a grasshopper and went through. If it was this Algeria
But that's
game,
what people are afraid of. The fact that it's happened in about 2 games now.
What did Karius do in Champions League final? Remember?
Where's Karius now, Jacob?
He was sold, I know. But he's a human being. Good thing I'm saying the stakes weren't high because it was a friendly match. When I go to the Morocco-Namibia game, I saw, you remember Morocco in the World Cup? They really gave Portugal a run, and Portugal had their first team. And Morocco were good. I watched all the games they played. So, they're going to beat Namibia. That is so obvious. Our fellow neighbors, Taifa Stars, I know you're going to be hit. It is no joke. Although we hear Sadio Mane won't be there.
Yeah, apparently he's going to miss the opener for Senegal.
Lakini juu in the same group majirani wetu mtatusare. We want them to be beaten. It's more
advantageous. Unataka wagongwe ngapi 3-0 or
you know, there's a Swahili saying usiombe mwenzako mabaya. Yako bado iko motoni. As in don't wish bad luck and everything, and you are in the same place. So let's just, because we are in a competitive game, we want them to be beaten. It's more advantageous for us because we're in the same group. They're going to be hit, that I know. Okay, Algeria, Kenya. Tuko pamoja, mbaya. That's what I can say. It can be done. Football is a game of 90 minutes. But when it comes, let it be a draw. Let it be a draw if it's bad. But let's not allow them to beat us. Like you said, let's not get excited. Let's just open the game. Because these guys are professional. They will hammer us if you open up the game. Let us be restrictive, but not over-restrictive. Because, you know, when you sit back, you're inviting pressure. But when you get at them, the best defense is a strong offense. You get at them.
I like that. So can we get quick predictions, gentlemen, hopefully on tomorrow's opener between Algeria and Kenya? Taiwo?
I'm going to go for 2-1 Kenya.
2-1 Kenya. Kelly?
I'll go for a 1-1.
1-1.
1-1.
Okay. So 2-1 for Kenya is what Taiwo is going for. Kelly is going for a 1-1 draw between ourselves and Algeria. Now, we had talked about the fact that we would get back to Taiwo's story. He does have quite an interesting story of life after football. So Taiwo, tell us about more in terms of what you've been doing in Western Kenya. We do know that you have a serious plant going on there in terms of mining. You're also trying to get into the sports business, the business side of the game. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so when I started playing football in 2014, I had a serious knee injury. I just thought, you know, I could put the same discipline and the same commitment that I put into, you know, being a professional. I could put the same attitude towards learning the law of business and the business of law. So I started educating myself on contractual law, business law, tax law. And for me, as a football player, I always wanted to know, how did football clubs, you know, build their stadiums, build their fan base and community setup? And I always said to people in Kenya, if you look at all the football clubs in England, they were all built by tin mining companies, steel mining companies, coal, steel. These were the companies, the industries that built football clubs.
Yeah.
So naturally, when me and my business partners were in England were talking about what we should do for the forthcoming year, I said, well, there's some granite on my father's land in Akumu. Let's do some exploration. So we did a bit of exploration, and then we got a report. I'd never actually done anything in mining before, but just adding the same principles of, you know, the business framework, it was easy to learn it.
Right.
So then we actually started looking in Migori, because I had my father's land there, and that was the first place I came to as a 10-year-old. So for me, it was sentimental to do something which could bring investment to the community, so we create some jobs, but also make something profitable so we can reinvest into the football.
That's very interesting. So that's the mining side, that's the granite side. What about the sports business in terms of the Migori youth?
Yeah, so again, the same, we're looking at mining in Migori so that we can reinvest the profits into the football, including Migori youth.
Very, very interesting. Now, I do know, Kelly, that's the road less traveled.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting journey. And how would you compare it in terms of life after football, personally for you, and also for a lot of post-football players, you know, former players, I will put it that way, in terms of options?
Yeah. Okay, in life, especially in our career, you have to have an exit plan. Around 35 to 40, it's quite rare for an African to play past 40 because maybe our food, our genetics, by white people, gigs did it. But you know, when you click there around 29, 30, you should be thinking, you should be having an exit plan. It doesn't mean that you'll just leave football like that abruptly. Start investing in something, like the way you said, this is something they've been venturing in. And kudos to you, my brother, thank you. I know Migori Youth, I know the team, actually we have some friends there.
Yeah.
Kudos to you, you know, you're giving hope to that region, to football. Kudos to you, may God bless you. And on another personal platform, I'd like to thank the Harambee Stars. I lost my dad on last week. I buried him on 8th.
Sorry
so
about
yeah,
that.
Harambee Stars really chipped in some money contribution. Their players, they really, kumbe mpesa iko France. So now, they really chipped in. I'm thankful to Kahata, Kino Lunga. I've played with all of them, Kalaba, Bud, Marcelo, Avire. They really came to my rescue. They sent something from the board. So that's why you see I'm really behind them.
Yeah.
Because it's more of a personal thing. Kahata is like my brother.
Yeah.
Literally our kids in the same school, same class.
Yeah.
So it really touched me what they did to me, show the humane part of them. That's why I'm saying that's a human thing you're doing. Please continue, and may God bless you even more.
And you know, I always say to people, everyone in Kenya can invest in the development of football. You know, it's a business, a very profitable one. And the human resource that we have here is in abundance. We've got all these young people who could be the next Victor Wanyamas, the next Marigas, the next Dennis Olieches, and we aren't investing in them.
Exactly.
I actually asked
quick one, gentlemen, before we wrap up. Yes, Kelly,
I actually asked him, what are you mining in Migori? You know, I was like, Nini ko Migori.
Kuna vitu.
Then he told me there's a lot. It's just that he laughed, in fact. He said, why do everybody in Nairobi say that? Then he told me there's granite and blah, 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 like what he said.
Exactly that. So first of all, condolences to you and your family. May Dad rest in peace. And gentlemen, we are taking a break. We'll be right back. Makori is still in Kasarani. Keep the conversation flowing. #Tuesday's Top Sport with your message to the Harambee Stars, as well as a few predictions. How do you think that game between Algeria and Kenya will end? We will be sure to be giving out some VIP tickets for that game between Kariobangi Sharks and Everton. We leave you with some pictures from that fabulous opening ceremony of the African Cup of Nations.